Not-
Yeah.
How was your track day
Yes,
there?
tell me.
Track day was good. It was pretty quiet. Um, there was probably 15 cars in total, which is like it was basically empty. Which is nice for me as a novice, just going out and getting some instruction laps. But my buddy, who's the one that got uh, who, whose tire burst, he was the one that got me onto the track and helped me with lines and just general tips and stuff. And he was coming down the main straight in Palmer, and it's like when you're going down the counterclockwise direction, there's like a kink right? It's like it's a long straight, and there's just a kink at the end. He was trying to take a right, and the car just kept going straight. He said it just
Yikes.
kept turning left,
Ooh.
and from the pit lane, all I heard was a pop and then a bunch of smoke. And I thought his motor blew because it was just because he had a way like arrow and like all the smoke was pooling off and making rooster tails and stuff. I was like, holy shit! Like his motor definitely just went. But after the pop, it then hit the wall and then just skidded and it happened at like 120 miles an hour, and that whole side from like what it's on the story is
Damn, that's scary.
ruined, which
That
is sketchy because
sucks.
I was in with him, like the session before. He was basically just like showing me how fast you can possibly go, which in 6 laps made my stomach feel like it did like 360 degrees in my own body. And I'm usually pretty good. Like I have a pretty strong stomach, but like by the 6th lap, I'm like, okay, we got to go in. Like I cannot handle this anymore. Um, but yeah, otherwise it's fine. It just proves that I mean like I have I'm like a decent driver, but I'm like there's just so much to know and learn.
Yeah,
Like,
I heard you're going to the track, and I was like, oh, a little nervous for you, because going to the track for the first time in an M4 is definitely like not what what I did, and yeah,
what kind of
I
helped
thought
me?
my approach was much more sane.
It is much more insane. What helped me though was for some reason I'm getting like a high intake temp level, and it basically went to limp mode for halfway through. So I had like maybe 200 horsepower. So it's
Ah,
just like you got to treat it just like an E36. You know what I mean? Just like
yeah, and I
just
mean,
flooring it everywhere,
yeah,
and you're really not getting peak power. So that
I was like,
actually
I
helped.
definitely
Like
was glad.
noticeably.
Like my first, I don't really track anymore, but my first track day was in a slower car, and like I
Yeah,
continued to track slower cars.
yeah. So it was nice. So it's
Yeah,
definitely
because
So
I
nice.
mean,
cool.
I still had like Code Brown moments, like in
Oh, for
not in
sure.
the Number X, but in the Civic. The Civic was like tail happy with the fat rear bar and spun
Yeah,
a
I
few times.
bet.
I was like, oh, I would not want 400 horsepower. Like
Yeah,
the
it's
speed.
at least with I mean the 200 trailer tires, but for every section except one at Palmer, do a great job. Like it really just feels like I just treated it like momentum driving. I was rarely full throttle, and just tried to carry as much speed as I could through each turn and like learn how to. And there was one part I had to like correct because the rear just like there's one section going uphill, and there's just like for some reason the rear just like can't seem to connect, and there's like a chicane going uphill like that, and I had to put opposite lock in. But I mean, it's fine. I'm really sensitive with the throttle and just trying to keep momentum up. And
How did the rest of the inputs feel, like steering and grip and everything, especially with your new suspension modifications?
it felt great. I mean, the only feel like so comfortable. It's just so like plush and
Yeah.
soak up the bumps really well. It's like I thought I'm not that going that fast because like after I was had my like brain like completely
Rattled.
reoriented. Yeah,
Yeah.
in the like arrowed out E92, and he has like full Hoosiers on it, and he's like an instructor for a bunch of clubs and stuff. So he's like properly. I mean, he has like 30 years of track experience, so it's like not even close. So like I after going out of that and going to my car, I'm like, okay, I'm like slow, but I'm not trying to push it too far. So it just puts
Yeah.
into perspective. And M4's fast, M4's great, but it's like there was one story of in like the novice group there was a guy that was like thought he was hot shit. He had a white lowered Hellcat, and my buddy Rob, the instructor, he was just like, "Well, that's like the wrong car to bring."
Bring
You
a
would just see him,
sledgehammer to a knife fight.
yeah, dude. I mean,
love
like down
that.
the straights, he's just like flooring it. It's like super loud and so it's like swirling. And then for the rest of the lap, where it's all like twists, he's going like 40 through it. I was like, come on. And he was like, he had just such an ego, he wouldn't give me a point by. Like I'm just like on his tail. I'm like, come on, let's go. And it was just that's the kind of like definitely
That's the kind of guy who when you're waiting for the water fountain, he's like, I'm not done yet.
Yeah, dude. Dude, in the drivers' meeting, they were showing the lines for like just people of, you know,
I think I had perpetual point buys in the Civic. It was like on the
yeah.
straight.
Oh yeah,
Like I have 200 horsepower.
Just what you're gonna do. What was I saying? The Hellcat guy. He what was it? Oh, I think I don't remember if it was the same guy or not, but there was someone during the drivers' meeting that was like, oh, like how fast are we going through there? Oh, so that means I can go that. And this guy was the instructor wasn't like an arrowed out vet with slicks. Like you're not gonna go. He was like, oh, I can go 81 miles. If you went 81 miles, I can go 81 miles an hour. And it's just
yeah.
People have to put their like egos aside, and the last thing I want to do is just like stuff the car.
Yeah, it's kind of good you saw someone crash. Makes it very real.
Dude, makes it very. Especially was the car I was in like the session before. Like I literally just hopped out, and then he was doing hot laps by himself.
It.
Yeah, and then I just like right there, tire popped, and I was like, okay.
That's awesome.
Noted, but yeah, it was a great time. I think the if we had a topic for tonight, I think I've been talking about this all week with like other friends of mine, and it's the debate of me. I've been having this with M4, but like getting a clean car. I mean, you've talked about this, Scott, with your V70s, like having a clean car and not wanting to drive it, but like the OCD part of you wants to just have something that's just like a nice object, right? Like,
yeah, it's a pain in the butt,
right? But then you feel bad driving it hard, and if you have, you know, if I had spent 20 more grand on the M4 and bought something with like 10,000 miles and like a 2019, would I want to be doing the same? I really don't think so. I'd be like worried about rock chips. Meanwhile, I'm here with like, you know, tailing people with rocks flying out and not really caring.
Yeah.
Like there's two different philosophies to that, and I'm starting to orient myself in the beater, like not the full. I'm gonna buy something for $2,000 and like Wild Motorsports, they buy E36s all day.
Spec, yeah.
Yeah, and they just like fix it and they buy the cheapest thing and then make it a full drivable. But finding the balance and when's the right time for what thing and how do you guys like approach it? For a road car, I totally get having something super clean. Like it doesn't really make that much sense. Well, okay, never mind.
No. The road car, why would you make it clean?
I don't know.
You have to use it on roads.
I know.
You have to use it on roads. And if you have to like hang back on the highway because you're scared of rock chips or not pull into certain places, then it's not a road car.
Yeah, it's a show car.
Like, yeah.
It's just
then you can't even like use it on the public street like you'd want to use it. So I don't really see the point.
Yeah,
I'm over it. I'm glad that I've dealt with it and learned.
Yeah,
first time
because it's hard for me to like look
really
at the
nice,
M4.
and I was like, no, I'm done. Can't deal with it.
I'll look at the M4 and go like, oh, I want to fix this because I wish it looked just better, like rock chips on the front or something like that. But I just know that the moment you spend $1,000 on fixing like some paint stuff, you'll want to spend another. Like it'll just keep going and just never stops.
Like with the Jeep, I like already have a like fly fishing trip planned. Like I know it's gonna get pinstriped on trails.
Oh yeah.
So, within the first month, I was like, I'm planning that because I'm taking it so that it can get pinstriped, and then I'm over it.
Yeah.
Over it.
And just tough finding that balance sometimes, and that's what Jason Camisa talked about his E30 touring like that. He had a beater one, and then he restored it, and now he doesn't want to drive it. So, anyways, what were you saying, Matt? Sorry to cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say that like I totally get both camps. I mean, not in the sense that you guys have, because obviously like I haven't had my own vehicle in which I've been like, oh, it's too nice to drive, and or like, yeah, this is an absolute dump. Like, I do not give a flying F about it.
But you can also put
But I really,
yourself in the shoes of like your stepfather. I was gonna bring him up, but like he like
yeah.
I
So
get like it's just so nice. I bought it new. I put in like no miles because I know it's gonna be still mint. You
right.
know.
So like, and that's kind of what I was gonna say. Is like, I really think it depends on like your individual um tolerance, both for like imperfections and um like financially, right? Like, if you are the type of person who, like, can buy a, I don't know, brand new C8 RS6, right, and put HREs and, full PPF, and like make it dope, but also like protect it and ride it hard, like, that's that's respectable, because a lot of people, would also buy that car and just like stick it in a garage and be like, "Whoa, it's an R6 wagon. It's gonna be worth a lot someday." Like,
Oh
and
God.
not drive it, and not drive it. For example, my stepfather, 2019 E63. I don't think it has 6,000 miles on it yet. Like, it just like it does not get driven. I don't know the last time he started it. Like,
That's
whatever.
not as bad as not using your TRX. That's worse. Because TRX
I'll get to that next. But point being, shortly after he got it, he drove it a couple of times, like a month, for a couple of months, and put on the brunt of those miles, like, over the summer of probably 2020 or something like that. And his business is based out of Rochester, so he took it on a couple of road trips, which, like, that's a dope car for a road trip. Massage seats and like all the go that you need.
Wait, the TRX?
And
Are we talking about the E63?
I'm talking about the
I was like,
E63.
I didn't know.
Massage seats.
And
Keep
I
going.
mean,
Ram.
I was like, no
yeah,
way.
I'll get to the T-Rex next. But anyways, he's like, he like, when my parents got back. So my mom went with him. When my parents got back, he was like, "Yeah, I let your mother drive on the way home, and she accelerated really quick out of the rest stop, and in a blink of an eye, she was at 72 miles an hour, and I told her to slow down." And I'm just like, "Oh my God, like, you are the wrong owner for this vehicle." And then he came back, and we were at the dinner table, and he's like, I got so nervous, like, there's rock chips in the front end. So I was like, "Look, I know of like a very good detail shop around here. You can get the whole car, just the front end, PPF, whatever, and then you'll be a lot better off than just running, raw metallic black paint."
Yeah.
So I sent him to this place, which, like, I told, it was like a referral. So it was like an even slightly discounted price. And he was like, "Oh, that's so expensive." And it's like, dude, you just bought a very expensive car. Like, what do you expect?
What's
So,
$1,400?
right,
Or
exactly. And
whatever.
it's just
Yeah.
like, there's all different sorts of strokes for all different sorts of folks. And, like, you have, I know that we joke about it all the time. It's like, you have these Corvette guys, and it's like, they're rubbing down their like single stage red paint with a Pampers. It's like,
You
dude,
can
what are you
definitely
doing?
do both. My dad owns a Corvette, and
Right. And
he
your
uses it
dad
all the
rides it
time.
hard, puts his dog in
Not
the
even
passenger
drives it
seat.
hard. He just uses it like a fucking car.
Right. Exactly. So,
Like, he
like,
carries his dog in it, and it's great. He bought a 3,000 mile C6 Grand Sport when they were not new.
yeah.
So he bought like a super nice, super low mileage one. Went all the way to like Ohio or something to pick it up, and then put the dog in it to come home.
And just drove
That's
right home.
awesome. That's so
I
awesome.
mean,
It's great.
I
Yeah, he
also
still
get
takes
the
care of it to the point where like
yeah.
it gets detailed like once a month, like hardcore. And every year we strip it, like all coatings off, and re-ceramic it. Like, he cares a
Yeah.
lot
See,
about
like,
That's a lot.
the way
Yeah.
he
that to
uses
me,
it.
is like the peak operation of like an enthusiast motor vehicle, because it's like, if you can purchase a vehicle and afford to like maintain it in like the kind of, I guess you could say, like, the manner in which you
Yeah.
appreciate said
I mean, but
vehicle.
he enjoys detailing. So like that once a month full detail that he gives it is like, he enjoys it. And then
Yeah.
Therapeutic. Yeah.
then
And I totally get that.
in the spring, like, I think we're doing it in either next week or the weekend after. Like, take the full 12 hours, strip all the coatings off, clay bar it, correct it, and then re-ceramic it every single year. Like we do that together, and it goes fast because it's not a big car. But like he puts that much time and effort into it, and like ceramic coating's expensive.
Yeah,
Like he
definitely.
gets the little tiny bottle of ammo crap. That's way too much money.
Larry thanks him.
Yeah, Larry thanks him.
Thank you, Larry.
But yeah, I mean, it's also like so he's got the T-Rex. He bought it in I don't know, December or whatever. It was honestly like the first couple weeks that we had it was like pretty cool because they were hot, they were new. It was like the first one in pretty much like the Northeast for several months. And I mean, I don't know how much he embellished or not, but he kept saying that like, people would follow him in traffic or like give him a thumbs up, blah blah blah, etc. Whatever. But then that was his daily for a while. And
Sensible.
yeah, super
Economical.
sensible. He was so stoked. So he bought MBRP exhaust for it, which I will say it sounds
sure
dope.
it sounds great.
I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds so good. But he bought MBRP exhaust for it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I picked up a whole 1 mile per gallon." And he was like, "That's the difference between 9 and 10." And I'm like, "Oh my god, every green earther is literally screaming right now." But he hit 10,000 miles because he was dailing it and driving it to Rochester and back and whatnot. Hit 10,000 miles, was like, oh my god, I put too many miles on my truck. I need to go buy another vehicle. So we went and bought a Q3 as his like actual winter beater. And I'm like, why do you have these cars that you don't drive? I don't get it. I mean, I don't get it. But on the other hand, it's like, I've seen plenty of examples like, low mileage, cool spec, whatever. And it's like, oh wow, like I would love to get that car and just use it lightly. But then there are other times where it's like, like to me, like if I could get like a 500E and just like do what your dad does, right? Like,
that takes a special mindset. I can't do it. I don't know
keep the
how he
paint
does.
mint, like, as soon as it needs like any kind of servicing, like, routinely every 7,500 miles we're doing this, every 5,000 miles we're doing this, every year it's getting absolutely this. And it's just like, if you have the financial means to like, keep up a vehicle like that to me seems like the best mix of use. But then there's also like, I have a buddy who I went to high school with, and he, just a friend from home, and like he has had like so many like fun road trips, and like we have so many great memories of him and his like $3,000 cars, and just like something breaks and then you buy a part and we fix it, and you pop tires and this and that and the other thing, and it's like you don't need to spend a ton of money to have a lot of fun. And
I think that what you're back to your 500E point, it depends what the materials are inside the car too, because like the V70 was so full of Alcantara, I couldn't do that. Like
right,
even if
absolutely.
I didn't care about the outside and it had PPF, I couldn't just like throw stuff in it because I would have destroyed Alcantara immediately because it doesn't last.
Yeah.
Right.
It has to be the right material, and Mercedes makes the best leather and MB Tex. It just lasts.
I mean,
It just
dude,
works.
not like 90s MB Tex is
It
basically
literally is like
second
feels
to
the
like
same.
it's like second to the Lexus foam fake
Oh
leather.
yeah,
It's like it
Yeah,
just
that's
goes
like
for
the
yeah, the
perfect
Lexus
car to
vegan
do
leather
that
or
with.
whatever. Dude, the Lexus vegan leather, whatever it is, like it doesn't age. I don't know
It
what
literally
it
doesn't.
You literally
Like
look the same.
you have to like actively destroy it for it to like not be good.
My mom's RX literally looks, and the thing is that my GX didn't have it. It had whatever base like poverty leather was in it, like just the base faux leather, not the nice faux leather.
Yeah,
And
right.
my mom's RX has it, and it literally like it has 120,000 miles. She bought it with 20,000 miles. It looks exactly the same, and I just like go in and it was like, well, this is unfair. Like
Yeah, your mom doesn't strike me as the kind of person who like regularly cleans it. Like cleans it fairly regularly.
She cleans it fairly. It's not like your dad in the Corvette. She cleans it like every 2 months, but she like really cleans it, but like not the car mentality, like the I'm gonna vacuum every single corner of this car and like scrub it with soap or whatever. But it gets clean, and she like cares for it, which is good. But she has no idea what a ceramic coating.
Oh yeah, once a month, my dad gets the car off the ground and takes the wheels off, and does like the brush scrubbing.
I wish I had that kind of time and a car that I cared about that much. Yeah,
No,
on the other end of the spectrum, though, and speaking of materials, my mom's E-Class has Designo leather, and it's a 2017, and I think she's got like maybe 45,000 miles on it, maybe 50,000 miles on it now, and like a lot of the touch points are like worn already. And
it's like so soft, right? It's like, I mean,
and that's the thing is, it's like the leather's like so supple and so soft that it's like your Alcantara, like it's just so
and that's
sensitive.
That's like Ferrari leather. Like if you look at used 360s or 355s, they'll have like 30,000 miles, and every single time the person got in the car, they probably cared about how they got in the car, and they still look worn because the leather's so soft.
Dude, rental 458s.
Oh my god!
Like look at them and they're like tearing apart.
Yeah, at that point, just get a cloth Recaro for it. Just like forget it.
You might as well got it. You might as well make it as cup car. Like
Lamborghini seems to make stuff that holds up. Like used Gallardos with high miles.
That's because like old Audi and my RS4 interior like never fucking aged a bit. So
yeah, I mean it's just like the most taut freaking like pre-treated leather that comes out of Germany.
Yeah, Porsche. It must just be a German thing because Porsches are like that too.
Yeah, Porsches are like that. Most of them. Some of them aren't.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, you see some creasing, but I feel like it's rare that they look like beat. Like you see a lot of
they get that sheen on it, right? Yeah. They get the sheen from the oil, and then they just like start getting creases, and like I've never had a tear in mine or like kind of withering, which is actually in my M4.
So is that the car? Are you just recommending kind of blanket German cars for a nice car you can use? So if you're going to buy a nice version of a car and use it all the time, your best bet would be just buy a German one.
No, buy a Lexus.
Yeah, definitely get a Lexus.
If you don't,
or a Toyota.
It is boring. I mean, it's if you want a car that just works, like I realize I want more like instability in my life. So
a 911 is basically a Toyota Camry. It's boring.
Yeah, except for all the middle ones where they had like a bunch of problems.
As I know you guys always kind of give me a hard time about not wearing car apparel on the car podcast.
Oh yeah,
pulled this out of
Mercedes
out of a bin in one of the closets that we're renovating at the house, and a family friend bought this for me like I don't know, like 17 years ago, like a very long time. I was a little kid.
It looks like it's the same color that like the green Boxster in 996 interior was.
That's a great
awful one. Like
I thought it was a Celtics hat.
Neptune was it Neptune green? Was that the color? The 996 green that was
interior color?
Heinous, yeah.
It was not heinous.
It was do not only slander them.
It was only heinous on like the speed yellow examples where it's just like, oh god, turn it off.
Please.
But yeah,
no, it was pretty bad. There's a teal on that color. Teal on the Neptune green Boxster on Cars and Bids last year. That it was burned into my brain. It was so bad.
I remember that car. I wanted it.
Oh god. I love green interiors, so I can't accept slander, but if it's an off green outside, then I understand. But
yeah, I mean
green interior, green leather slander will not be tolerated on my end.
I would my
grass clippings dumped in the ocean. That's what it looked like.
It looked like a gasoline spill, like glinting in the light. It's just very bright, but yeah, no, cool hat. Glad I found it. He had I don't remember what the edition was, but he had it was our neighbor who bought it for me. He had like that orange and black edition Boxster S.
I was going to say Cayenne, and I was going to get very excited.
No, it was not a Transpiria. Although I think at the same time, or maybe like just before he bought the orange Boxster, his wife had a Gen 1 base Cayenne, and I I remember that making a very large impression on me as a youngster in 2004 or whatever it was. And the back seat was really small. I remember that, even at 7 years old.
Matt, what's your first convertible experience?
Actually, funny you asked me that. It's right behind me. I'm at my grandpa's house near Cape Cod, by the way, Scott. Our neighbor right here was this really interesting older gentleman. He used to run like a repair shop, but he also sold cars and did other automotive related stuff while he was there. And year 2000, he bought a yellow Prowler. And
your first convertible experience was a Prowler.
Wow.
Yep. So I was like 3, and I was like,
that's pretty great.
Wow.
That is.
I was
fantastic.
like, wow, that's so cool. That's so cool. And he was like, oh yeah, come on, like we'll take you for a ride. Mind you, like I said, I'm like 3 years old. Like I don't even think my head would have been above the door sill if I sat in the seat. So I sat on my mom's lap, and it was like riding on like a wagon on Westward Expansion. It was just like, oh, it's so bouncy. But
did it have the matching trailer? That's my favorite part of the Prowler.
If it had the matching trailer,
It is the matching.
But no, it was a lot of fun. He also had a Stinger 390X, which I don't know how much you guys love Miami Vice or the 80s, but it was the boat that they raced with in the show Miami Vice, which was like also super cool. And then it was broken more than it was in the water, which was good for me because it would sit in his driveway right next to us, so I could just like stare at it, and then he would start it up every now and then. And it's got
he had a Prowler and a boat from Miami Vice.
Yeah.
Oh my god! What an interesting man.
This is a very interesting man.
Walter Wenzel, rest in peace. He died like a long time ago.
He was not the kind of man that buys a 911. This is the other end.
No, yeah, definitely the other end.
Style over everything.
But yeah, I think that was my first convertible experience. At least the first one that I can recall.
That's a good one.
Mine was a Jeep because I'm from Maine. And everyone's first convertible experience in Maine is a Jeep.
Yeah, probably.
Fair enough. Mine was a Fox body Mustang.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys hang out with a lot of meth and cocaine dealers.
You know what's funny? It was like a family friend that they met from church, and he had a Fox body Mustang. He must have done some real sinning back in the day.
Yeah, right.
So I have to go to church and repent him or something. But it was a white Fox body Mustang.
That's so funny.
Yeah, cocaine was consumed at some point.
Yeah, Ice Baby.
Yeah, especially a Fox body vert.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's like trailer park royalty.
But I remember I was like, oh yeah.
That and the Prowler.
He was actually, when I think about it, I was really young. I probably was like 8 or something like that. So it's I'm pulling back, but I remember he had like quite a large car collection of just like random old Americana. And
I'm just wondering what a 8-year-old Code who was very influenced by a white convertible Fox body would have, if he would have continued down that path. What the car taste would be like.
Oh yeah, very interesting. Yeah, imagine if it was just if I had that experience when I lived in Kansas or something, and I just had American cars that are around me, or something like that. I don't know. I mean,
that's funny.
I don't know. Yeah, the Terminator. Or like, I love a Cobra R, but I feel like that's the least. That's like the least.
Yeah, independent rear suspension.
Yeah,
it's like dramatically different.
Yeah, I know. That's what I like.
It actually drove well.
I don't know about that. It was still either a Fox body or an SN95. I wouldn't go that far.
Relatively.
I mean, relatively speaking. Yeah. I actually like the SN95. There used to be a white Celine one near me, and it was cool.
I haven't seen many around SN95s. They're like At least to me.
No, they're all at the junkyard because no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They,
That's what I figured.
they're
At this point, that's what I figured.
certified
That's
junk.
like early
Unless it's a
2000s Ford
Terminator.
Tauruses.
Unless it's a Termi or a Cobra, there's no point.
No reason.
Termis are expensive though.
Termis
They're
are
like
expensive.
40 grand.
Really?
Yeah, there was a cab one that I saw recently for like 45, and it was like gray on black. It wasn't even like Mystichrome or some super
That's
cool
horrible.
spec.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mystichrome paint's really ridiculously expensive if you need a repaint of anything.
Oh, I wonder why.
Shocking.
What, they have lead
Yeah,
in it or something?
I need you to match this flake. Yeah, it has every color known to man.
No, because Ford kept the formula pretty secret. So like you can't just go to like Snell or something and pick up the paint. You have to order it from Ford, and it's dumb expensive.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
My favorite
95%
part of
of
the
the buyers.
Mystichrome Cobras is the interior is like Mystichrome vinyl. So ridiculous.
Oh, it's so crazy.
Awesome.
That is, I love that theme though of the 90s of like that color combination. I mean, like you had your Montego blues and all your like tealish.
Yeah,
You know,
the teals
pearlescent
and like
colors or whatever.
purples and
Yeah, it was like a wild.
White.
Everything looks like that water cup with like the.
I
I
think it's less
Yes.
of a water cup, and everything looked like a boat. Because like
It's the same.
Equally
It's
good.
one of the
Like,
same.
yeah, everything looks like a boat.
Everything looked like that glitter bomb that you like shake up when you were younger, right? It was like you would flip it over, and then all the glitter would change, and it'd be like two different colors, and everything was designed.
I think there needs to be a resurgence of small two-door convertible SUVs like the 90s had. We need more Suzuki sidekicks.
Yes.
Geo trackers.
Can you imagine how much money Mercedes would print if they just made a G-Wagon convertible again? Oh my god.
I would love that, but I feel like
if Land Rover got back into that, if they made a
well,
convertible,
they kind of have it. Because the Defender 90 and the Defender 110 can both be ordered with a folding fabric roof like the Jeep Power Top.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But wouldn't like Mercedes actually print money?
No, they wouldn't.
Yeah, they would sell like four.
I'm sick of looking at generic crossovers, and I just want to see a Crosstrek with like a snap-on soft top.
Listen, if more people bought the Murano convertible, this wouldn't be the conversation we're having right now.
You know, the sad thing is I see more Murano convertibles than
don't.
Geo trackers.
I do.
I genuinely do.
I saw a Range Rover Evoque convertible.
Yeah, I see more Murano cross cabs than that, which is shocking. I've seen I actually every year, at least in this area, I see at least.
It's kind of cool.
4? Wow.
I see at least 4 a year, which is.
I've seen like maybe 2 in my area.
I don't know.
I saw a brown one.
Like, why do people buy it?
I don't see that. I see the Evoque cab once a summer. Some tourist has one inevitably.
Yeah, that's great.
It makes sense. I mean, honestly,
I don't see them in Kennebunk. I see them in a Gunquit. Very different town.
Yeah,
makes a little more sense.
It's the gayer one.
The Evoque convertible suits a Gunquit.
Yeah. I just don't know why. Like, it's always exactly who you think a cross cab buyer is. They're like a Karen, and that's just what it is, man. They just
ketchup is spicy to them.
Yeah. Mayonnaise is too hot. Yeah, I would like. I mean, I agree with everything's becoming a generic, just 2-box.
Yeah, add some excitement.
Chevy Blazer is like the quintessential letdown and like modern formula.
That up. I can't believe they call it that. The Mustang, like at least the Mustang Mach-E is fast, which it is fast.
It is fast.
I got someone in a Mach-E GT last time I went to the climbing gym on the on-ramp was very impatient with the LR3's acceleration on the on-ramp, and he blew past me unbelievably fast, way earlier than he should have. But it was Mach-E GT. It's actually quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Mustang.
The
Blazer does
Trailblazer is
nothing that a Blazer
definitely
can do.
a big disappointment, especially because like the
Or
old
not the
one was
Trailblazer. I mean, I guess the Trailblazer as well. I was thinking the Blazer, but the Bronco.
They're
Blazer.
both turds.
They're both terrible. They're both
are
disgusting, but
I will say they do come in some like very vibrant colors. There's like a super 50s like teal. No, I'm not saying it makes it any
No,
better.
it comes in
That's trying to
vibrant
give some
colors.
credit.
The Bronco and the Wrangler. They could have made vibrant colors on that. You can order a Wrangler in the color of a tennis ball.
I know.
If you want to.
Actually, speaking of which, at the Herb Chambers Bentley Boston, there's a tennis ball 4x4 that's been sitting out there for like over a month. It just it's so hard to miss because you just drive down the road and like, oh, there's like sun is glowing.
Well, it's also 13 feet in the air. So
yeah,
like,
way higher than everything else.
It's so funny.
That
I'm on Jalopnik right now. I wanted to bring this up. But I don't know if you guys saw it. In Massachusetts, there was like I don't know, it was like a confiscation of like.
Oh yeah, the seized cars from the drug trafficker, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Matt, pull it up right now. I'm gonna share my screen and give you a little taste.
That drug trafficker had really good taste based on what's in the auction. There's like 5 E46 M3s, 13 Supras, which is too many Supras.
Oh, so it's not like the Warlord one from Africa who had like the bright blue Koenig and stuff.
Oh no, I wish. This is a little more low rent than that. By low, I mean a lot, but it is really interesting though. I mean, they're all going for sale as a Lime Rock E92.
Oh yeah.
13
AP1,
Mark IV
AP2.
Supras.
Wow.
13 Supras is too many.
It's too many. It's
one
about
F82
11 too many.
WM4 code. Do you know who the previous owner?
Bro, I was like, probably a mass BMW. One heavily modified Acura Integra. So yeah, I mean,
did they say what this guy
10
did?
have under 50,000 miles on those Supras?
Yeah, that's a gold mine right there.
8er manual 5.
Oh my! 8,000. He has an 8,000. That is going to be on a Bring a Trailer tomorrow.
Yes.
An 8,000 mile Supra.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of money.
Some Bring a Trailer bidder is going to absolutely love that one.
It's. I love how they called it. Oh, this is the guy. Holyoke, dude. He must have been the only person in Holyoke with a car that wasn't a Toyota RAV4.
Literally.
I did remember seeing this. Is a pretty old
I
article.
like that he's smiling in this mugshot. He's like, yeah, I did it. I'll do it again.
That's the face of someone that knows that all his Supras are like over $1 million now. The collection of them. Look at this.
138 pounds of marijuana.
Some guns. Yeah, that's Western Mass for you.
Yep.
This checks out.
Yeah, definitely checks out. That's
not a single G-Wagon, despite the amount of AKs.
I know. I mean, clearly the man had limited taste.
What was his name? Yeah, he definitely is not the G-Wagon type.
I mean, they're all sports cars.
His undercover daily was probably like a 06 F250. Like that's the kind of guy that he looks like.
Yeah. Well, it's just an interesting article. I'm curious but the thing is that Bring a Trailer, I can totally imagine they'll be like asking about the history of these cars and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh, was the service done at 13,400 miles? And like, no, it's been like at some drug trafficker's place. Was holding cocaine for a while.
I anticipate if, like, for example, if that car were to go on Bring a Trailer, some dude would be like, oh yeah, like the story's great. I'm gonna pay, way too much money for it.
Yeah, that's the other thing though. Does the story add value because of Ed Boleyn's popularity. Solely because of his popularity.
I don't know. It's not a flood car, so.
I feel like in that instance, no, because it's like, who's that dude? Some dude from Holyoke who had misguided morals.
That is true.
But Ed Bolian, it's like, oh, Ed Bolian's got some street cred. Like he has, a little bit better of a resume in the automotive scene than that dude who just happened to stockpile 13 Supras.
He was killing off the rest of Western Mass with drugs.
Instead of walls and a queen size mattress stuffed with cash, he had 13 Supras.
It's an interesting point. But yeah, I think I'll leave it to that. I'm going to try to keep our episodes a little shorter. So we'll
probably
sign off for today. Yeah, keep it to an hour.
Yeah,
sounds good.
We'll definitely try to get Jake and Alex on for next time or sometime in the future. If you guys have other people you want to bring on, please feel free to bring them on sometime. And until next time, we'll have to do another in person, like a genuine in person.
Yeah, we got to get together and do it.
We'll figure it out.
Definitely.
Figure it out. I'll be down. I can podcast next Friday. I will be in Connecticut, then heading down to Tail of the Dragon. So I will probably be just podcasting away, but we can still do it, and internet's everywhere. So
Cool.
All right, boys.
Sounds good.
Okay.